Good morning. It is a beautiful Sunday in July here in southeastern Minnesota, Zone 4B, and it's just under 70 right now. So I thought we would do a quick tour around the garden before it heats up. Here in Minnesota, it is typically very warm this time of year, and this year we have been in a drought. We did get some rain last week over the 4th of July holiday, which is great and very much needed, but we are still technically in a drought, so I have been watering more in the last few weeks than I ever have here in this garden. And fortunately, during the rain, my rain barrels filled up again, so I don't have to use as much water from the hose. But since I have a couple new trees and some new shrubs, I have had to break out the hose more than I would like to. But there's some wonderful things going on, so let's take a look. We have a lot of grapes here, and this year I actually did try to prune the grapevine quote unquote properly, which if you know me, you know doing things the correct way is not my strong suit. But we have some nice bunches of grapes. A few years ago I had quite a few lovely bunches of grapes, and pretty much the exact day before I was going to harvest them all, they were getting nice and ripe, and I came out to harvest them and they were all gone. So the birds knew exactly when they were ripe also, and they got to them. So that's going to be a job for this week, is to net these off. But I like this. It's just a cattle panel that I got from a former coworker, and I just used T-posts and bent it into an arch, and it has been the perfect little grape arbor. So one change over here is that I had a Mohican viburnum right here that was not doing well. And I planted it the same time that I planted this Korean spice viburnum. Well, I know it wasn't the planting conditions or the weather or the amount I was watering it, because I treated them exactly the same, but the Mohican just wasn't doing well. It looked like it had some sort of fungus and rust. So fortunately I was able to take it back to where I bought it, and they let me pick a new one, and I put it in a different spot. Bee balm is blooming, and the bees love them. This, I believe, is our native bee balm. Oh, it's got a sunflower in there. Yeah, this is our native bee balm. I do have another varietal that I got from a friend in here, which is this one. This nice hot pink. That one's really fun. So bee balm or bergamot or mandara. It has a bunch of different names. Oh, look, there's a dog over here. She's hunting mice. All the coneflower is blooming. Smoke bush is looking amazing as always. I have to say, I'm getting much better about deadheading and pruning this year, and it is for sure paying off. Just a couple days ago, this butterfly bush, or buddleia, it had a bunch of buds that were just about to open but hadn't opened yet, and a bunch of flower heads that had gone over, so I finally came in and just chopped them all off, and then all of this beautiful pink appeared. So definitely good to keep up on that stuff. And same thing with my sunflowers. This is a Velvet Queen sunflower. I really, really like this color, and I love that it has multiple flower heads per flower. So there's a bunch of other ones coming in, so I'll just cut these as they're ready. Oh, hi friend. There's another one over here. Definitely much more worth the space versus these guys. This is just a single flowering sunflower, so as soon as this is done, I will just cut down the whole plant, because I do have a dahlia back here that is going to need more sun. This dahlia is Mai Tai, and last year I had it planted in the flower bed and it did really well, but I wanted to be able to baby it a little bit more because it is gorgeous. We have some tomatoes over here. You can see the spent flower heads of the sunflower. I just set them on the ground so that the critters can still have them. Oh, look. We've got some tomatoes. First tomato of the season. It's really good. Obviously, you can see this is very clearly a yellow pear cherry tomato, even though my label says Moon Glow. So I don't know if my seeds got mixed up or my labels, but either way, we still have tomatoes. So looking back here along the east garden bed, some more bee balm. These are gladiolus, waiting for those flower spikes to emerge. And here we have another dahlia in a pot. Seems to be doing pretty well. I've been babying them a lot, and now that we actually had some rain, I'm not seeing quite as much earwig damage, which is good. This is a blueberry bush. This one's pretty much done fruiting. Oh, there are still a few more in there. This one, ooh, there's some blueberries in there that are about ready. They have taken forever to ripen. It's an extra tomato that I just threw in a pot. I think it's an Amish paste. I really like those for paste tomatoes. And over here, we have some corn. I mostly just planted it to be decorative because I thought it would look nice back here with the sunflowers and the dahlias, but it looks like I do actually have some corn coming in. So we'll see if that amounts to anything. This should be glass gem corn, which is a heritage variety. So this is the mixed vegetable and ornamental bed. We'll come over here. So you can see this guy. This is our first dahlia to open this year. The label I had with it was Bishop of York, and this is clearly not that. So again, I don't know if I mixed up the labels or something goofy happened to the tuber, but a dahlia is a dahlia, so we'll take it. The peppers are doing really well. We've got some nice fruits in here. There we go. There's another one flowering. Oh, we have a sleepy bee. Hello, sir. So moving back through the archway, you can see my pot arrangements over here. And those are looking great. Most of these, well, several of these canna-tubers are ones I saved from last year, and wow, do they look fantastic in the sun. I have never planted my cannas in the ground. I really like them in pots where I can move them around and sort of create that tropical feel in the garden where I want it. In these containers, we have another canna. I love the wave petunias. Those are something I get every year for my containers, as well as salvias. And then this year, I planted some Ruby Moon hyacinth beans, which have just taken off. So those will definitely be a climber that I continue to plant. They have these really beautiful flowers. And once the seed pods develop, I just cut off the flowering stem and they'll put out more. And then towards the end of the season, I will let them pot out and go to seed, and we'll save the seed for next year. Some anise hyssop. I weeded some of the seedlings the other day, which you can see in my garden along video. And here is our new tree. This is a multi-stem Minnesota redbud, and I just love them. They're gorgeous in the spring, and I have wanted one for the backyard for a while. You can see there's 4 nice stems. The leaves look great. They're nice and thick. They have these beautiful heart-shaped leaves, and they are unique because in the spring they actually produce flowers, little pink purple flowers along the stem before any leaves come out. And so they're a great early spring tree. And this should be the perfect spot for it because my neighbor has a crabapple up here, and I think those are silver maples, but there is a little bit of a gap. So it should get a lot of sun. These can take some shade, so this should be the perfect part for it. Or excuse me, perfect spot for it. And of course, because I wanted to plant it here, had to expand this bed. Oh no. So now we have a slightly smaller path, but much more garden space. And since there's more space now, I was able to put in another butterfly bush. So this variety is called Groovy Grape, and these should be some nice purple flowers. I've mentioned before that butterfly bush are not hardy in my zone, so I will be digging up this one and the Miss Molly that's in the other bed and trying to overwinter them. We still have some beautiful larkspur here in the little island bed. These are grown from a seed from my grandma's garden in Illinois. So my mom brought some seeds up a couple years ago, and I always forget to throw out seeds in fall. But I'm hoping now that I have a couple larkspur back here that they will naturalize and start self-seeding. This is another perennial that I have grown from seed through seed that I got through a seed swap. If you have never done a seed swap before, I highly, highly recommend trying to find one. They are such a great way to build relationships with other gardeners, and you really only have to pay the cost of shipping to the person who's organizing the seed swap, or you could even do one in your community or town. But all you do is trade seeds with other people, and it's a great way to get more flowers for cheap or free. So try it out. Meet other people who like what you like. Now back here in the Hosta Glen, everything's looking very happy and cool. They love this area. This should be a sum and substance eventually. I don't remember planting it, but maybe I moved it in the spring. But that should get nice and big. Then I have some smaller hostas here. This is a fire island, and it's got these lovely red stems. I just transplanted this the other day. I did lose another chicken not too long ago. They are about reaching the end of their lifespan. Chickens typically only live 8 years max, and these ladies are about 6. So they're starting to have problems with laying eggs, which is causing complications for them. So we are down to just 5, but that's okay. It is turning my backyard into a chicken graveyard though. So the new addition is that I now have these planters with posts so that I can hang lights up around my patio, and I am just so happy with how they turned out. There are a bunch of YouTube videos about making these planter post holders using just a cheap container and some quickcrete cement and 4x4 posts, and there you go. So that was a nice afternoon project. My mom was here visiting, so we worked on that together, and I just think it makes the patio look so cozy and cute. And finally, we're back to the pond area. We have another lily coming up. This will be the 3rd lily flower. Hey guys. Sorry, I got distracted by the pond. It's so calming and nice. I highly recommend adding one to your patio. Obviously this one is not in the ground. I don't have a ton of space to put a big I don't have a ton of space to put a big pond in the ground yet. but this one is made from a 100-gallon stock tank from Fleet Farm, and I just used old fencing boards to build a little box around it, and that way I can fit more fish. So in the winter, I will use the smaller pond container and bring that inside, and then I will overwinter the fish in the basement. No heater, just a little bubbler to keep the water moving. I will keep a couple plants in there with a light over it. And then as soon as the nighttime temperatures get above freezing, you can move them outside. And because my basement is not well insulated, it does get pretty cold in the winter. It gets probably down to 50, 40, and the fish were fine. I have not lost a single goldfish. The water is clear. I test it. It's great. You basically are making a tiny ecosystem, which is really fun. I think that's one of the things I really like about gardening is that I'm learning so much science and so much about the environment on a small scale that I never understood when I was in school or just learning in a classroom setting. So just try stuff out. So here is the garden in the back at the beginning of July.